Why not? You see, I don't want to say the regime, Abiy has a totally different dream than
we'll get back.
Pretty much anybody in the political scene, right? So while we are trying that, there is they learned the wrong lesson from their parent organization, the TPLF, i.e. their godfather Mallas, which was he always wanted to have low-level insurgency as a way of justifying crackdown on opposition, and it worked. Right? Low-level insurgency in Somali region, low-level insurgency in Oromia was vital for consolidation of TPLF's power in the 1990s and early 2000s. These guys who were young at that point, I think from their childhood, this was inculcated in their brain. Because I remember conversation in Palace about, I used to, remember I wrote about DDR, I think 2018, I don't know, was I in Ethiopia or was I when I wrote for Addis Standard about the importance of proper DDR?
You critic when they were back to the conflict, you wrote, I remember, you wrote an article asking, what is the deal that was signed in Asmara? What are the details of the peace agreement that were signed? And it's a deja vu now. We don't know the details of the peace agreement signed between the Oromia regional government and Jalsani faction, that breakaway faction that I have it in good authority was also already dealing with the government since a year and a half. And so we're back to the same. It's like a hamster on.
The reason we are back to it is because the origin of the idea is very important. The way they perceived the OLF and now the FANOS is the way the PRDF, older PRDF, perceived insurgency during that time. What they misunderstood is, one, they are not Mallas and they don't have a PRDF, a robust political organization. And Ethiopia and the world has transformed. State is much more fragile and weak. The population are highly agitated. There is heightened nationalism across the country, and they didn't understand. So in a palace, that conversation when I was agitating from early on, pushing the OLF and others and calling the military guys, and one day I was asked, why are you so obsessed with bringing OLF home? It's a good thing that they remain in the bush. Even the TPLF used them as an excuse. He said Oromos are addicted to rebelling. So since they will always oppose, we need justification to crack down on them. It's good to have them there. That is very important because it tells you the mindset that's still there. There is an assumption. They really thought that Monroe would remain in Gidami Sudan border. They never in their wildest dream. So I don't know if I'll put it in a book. After agitating after them like this, the day I was going to Ambo, we stopped at Kinji.
That's the first place where the protests started.
And there were people protesting against me. And I was like, okay, remember that's when everybody was, I'm like, those are people. Everybody was chanting my name, but a small group of people were.
Why was that?
They had Dawood Ibsa's shirt. They have Wobo written on it. I wanted to know. So I said, bring those people. I'm like, no, they are. I don't bring them. So I spent about 10 minutes interrogating. OLA was already in Ginji. This is August 6, 2018. I noted this. I came home and told one of the government people. They didn't care. I think 2-3 months later, there is actually a movement around Ginji where Sanyi and others started this stuff. So I think they really underestimated the situation in Oromia and the situation in Amhara because they are operating the old EPRD mentality and they did not appreciate the socio-economic transformation domestically and internationally.
I would say another point of inflection for this massive expansion of the Oromo Liberation Army movement in Ethiopia as an insurrection, as an insurgent group, is the assassination of Hachalu Hundessa. At some point you discuss about that in your book. my belief is that there is a pre and post Hachalu Hundessa politics in Ethiopia that defines the relationship of the Oromo with the Ethiopian state. I believe that. Whatever happened after the assassination of Hachalu had 360 turnaround into the dynamics that's happening. I think that part they underestimated as to how it was going to drive the youth to go and join the Oromo Liberation Army, to have lost hope in the government once Hachalu was assassinated. You discuss about that, but I want you to reflect on how you framed the assassination of Hachalu in your book, in which you said it was a collective shock for the Oromo, undeniable. And I say Oromo politics is never the same again. I stand by that. You can contradict that. But you also mentioned how it created the fragmentation of Oromo elite, right? And I think that's a point that needs to be interrogated, because where we are today is absolutely a fragmented elite in terms of even analyzing the politics itself. In your belief, was that the starting point? Was the assassination of Hachalu the starting point, or was it something that was cooking in the back?
In the book, I opened that chapter about Hachalu by discussing the killing of the Duke, Ferdinand. But that was the spark, right? At the match. But the room was filled with gas. Europe prior to that was evolving. There is political tension building, there is competition, it's already ripe to explode, and the killing just blew the lid off. For about a year, more than a year, the politics in Ethiopia was getting more and more intense by day. The tension with Tigray was going up. In Oromia, our efforts have failed. Tension was going. We're trying to keep the lead on, but it was evolving. Remember, it's a couple of months before that I joined a political party. We did that campaign, so the tension was building. Now, Abiy has taken side with Ethiopian He has taken with the right. He has drifted far to the right with the promise of restoring the glorious empire. And cracking down on ethno-nationalists and so forth. So the polarization was already there. And the killing of an iconic figure just blew the lid off. And since this single was, the icon, he was the personification of the Gero. It was the personification of where Oromo was, when you look at him on that stage. I recently met someone, an Eritrean, and said he watched him in the Millennium, and I didn't understand a single word he was saying, but I understood everything he was saying. When you see him on the stage, that guy represented what Oromo was at that point. This triumphalism, this energy, but also this warning, right? And I think he embodied Oromo. He was like Oromo's put into a person. When that person was eliminated, I think the whole thing shattered. I can't speak for myself and others. Since then, conversation with elite within the government has been extremely difficult. Me being from the East and socially liberal, I try. But others, I think they have extreme difficulty. And because it was the collective trauma, if you saw the days after the killing, and even after that, I went abroad after prison. These two little kids, probably like 5 and 6, came to me and said, "We have a question." On stage, I'm like, "Are they going to ask me for candy?" He said, "Who killed Hachalu?" Isn't that the number one question now Oromos have? So I think it wasn't just caring about their loved icon. It is because that is really what the Oromo was deeply wounded. That had far-reaching consequences for the country. Once the polarization blew up, I strongly believe, had Hachalu not been killed and we didn't go to jail, Abiy and TPLF would not have been emboldened to go to war. I think TPLF got emboldened because they saw Abiy has been squeezed at his home front, and the right side of the politics also emboldened because they saw Abiy is now totally dependent on them. So I think that is an important episode in a long history of Ethiopia.
It might be one important milestone, but I think analyzing the moves that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed did since he came to power, starting from the rapprochement with Eritrea and what has transpired after that, I think that those a combination of those steps that he was taking, including the rapprochement itself, makes it inevitable that the war in Tigray was a matter of when, not if. But I agree with you that as an immediate cause has contributed to the outbreak of the war itself, and alliances have shifted. The Prime Minister was now clearly allied with the reactionary forces there, who have actually thanked him for the crackdown in Oromia, for arresting you, and the popular protest in support of your arrest is like Hajalu is killed now, next is Jawar. We've heard those young people singing those, and so by the time that crackdown happened, not just against you and the political leadership of the OLF, let's not forget that, but also the youth in Oromia, more than 10,000 Keros and Kares were detained soon after that. So that crackdown has clearly defined alliance formation in the political sphere there. The Prime Minister moved totally to the right, and then that has given an impetus and a speed to the outbreak of the war. This is my analysis of it. But I would not discount the fact that it has given force to or even speed the process up into the outbreak of the war. That being said, who killed Hajalu? Yeah, well, let me be the 6-year-old today and let me ask you, who killed Hajalu? His wife is asking for justice year after year, year after year. How is it that such an iconic figure, and I'm asking you this as a somebody influential who knows the politics and and the actors in it, how is it that 4 years and a half down the line, we still don't know?
I don't have a conclusive answer for that, because I like to have a solid proof. This is such an important person, such an important moment in our country's history. I don't want to speculate. I didn't have enough time. I was arrested the next day while in prison. Those who were accused, there was a lot of activities. I was able to gather a lot of information from police who are investigating, from those who are interrogated. I have an idea of what happened, who did it. I have an idea, but I don't have conclusive evidence to pinpoint. What I can tell you is, during those few days, there was active effort by the authorities to cover up the investigation. There were police investigators who were jailed with us. And there was intensive effort to blame it on, before Hajalu's body was taken from the scene where his body was found to the hospital. Authorities were calling me, telling me who killed it. So there was an effort to assign responsibility. There was an effort to interfere with the proper investigation, with the police work. I don't know, was that state sponsored? Was it the whole government?